What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Slice of TV, where we are going through every single episode of HBO's The Last of Us. Today, we are talking about episode 7, titled Left Behind. So, the thing about this episode is it's a flashback episode. It's a before pretty much everything that happens throughout the series so far. We get to see Ellie kind of before, and we get to see kind of her living her life before all the craziness that we see on her journey with Joel. And this one was a very special one for me because as somebody who has played the game, I've played the DLC, which this is based on, which is also titled Left Behind, which came out a little bit after the original game came out. And it's pretty much beat for beat what we see in that DLC. I have no complaints. This episode is wonderfully shot. The performances by Bella Ramsey and Storm Reed are phenomenal, as pretty much every single performance in the show has been. And even though it's a flashback, it gives us things that connect to that main story. It isn't just a throwaway episode, isn't just throwaway information. We get to see Ellie in a different element, and we get to see her before all the craziness. I mean, this episode does have some crazy parts and a lot of emotional parts, and we get to see Ellie show some emotions we haven't seen throughout the show. So, I'm all for it. This show continues to be just looks amazing, and just everything about it. I mean, it's so hard to talk about negatives of the show because, to be honest, I haven't seen many. It's really small nitpicks. You can call me a stan or whatever about the show. This show is becoming one of my favorite shows ever. Like, I don't know what else to say other than I love this show so much. I do want to shout out the director of this episode because her name is Liza Johnson. She actually graduated from Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, which is about 25-30 minutes from where I live. So she's kind of a local, at least she went to school here, but she does a great job with this episode. And of course, we have our boy Neil Druckmann writing it, the man behind the game, the man behind just the fantastic storytelling from both games, putting his beautiful writing on screen, and it's just chef's kiss. Those are my non-spoiler beats of this episode. So if you haven't watched this episode, which I highly recommend, and if you are here, please go watch the show. If you don't care about being spoiled, I'm sorry. Like, it just seems kind of wrong. You should go watch this show. So, this episode leads right from where we see the end of episode 6, where Joel is injured in his fight with some what are they called? Just what the hell are these guys called? Scavengers. They're like scavengers, the guys that were out there that were like doing their thing. And, he gets injured and we see him bleed out. And then that's kind of how that episode ends. Well, we get to see the aftermath of that. Ellie is trying to take care of him. Joel is trying to push her away. And it's more of a, where is Ellie's head at this moment? Is she, does she want to save him? What is she going to do? But we also get to see a flashback of a similar situation and how she gets through that. And we get to see Ellie before it all goes down. So we flash back to her as a Fedra soldier or a soldier in training. She gets into a scuffle with another person in the program. She has a talk with her superior, who is played by Terry Chen. And he pretty much tells her, like, you're a smart girl. You can do this. You can do better things with your life. This is what you need to do. So he gives her the options. Like, you could either have a shitty life or you could have a better life. This world, it's pretty much shitty all the way through, but you could have something a little bit better. So, of course, she chooses the latter. So she, at this moment, you're seeing Ellie kind of as someone who is following the rules. She wants to abide by the rules so she could stay alive. So, all these things. She hears, of course, working with Fedra. She hears all the bad things about the Fireflies. And when her friend Riley comes back, she finds out that she has joined the Fireflies, and so it's more of what Ellie's been ingrained from Fedra about who the Fireflies are, and she's trying to convince her not to become that. But Riley kind of has other plans. She wants to show Ellie a good night, and so they go to an abandoned mall, which is, like I said, this episode is literally beat for beat the Left Behind DLC from the game. So if you've played that DLC, you knew exactly what was going to go down. They did tweak some things, but it's pretty much the same thing, which is fine by me. This episode is done amazingly well, so no complaints here. But yeah, she goes to the mall. They get to hang out. They're doing cool things. They ride the carousel, which is a big focal point. And Ellie's amazed by everything. She's amazed by an escalator. She's amazed by the carousel. She's then shown an arcade. Now, and people who have played the game alongside me, I have not played this DLC in quite a while. I do recall in the game, the arcade doesn't actually function. They pretty much they go up to like one of the cabinets and they have to use their imagination to play whatever the game is they were playing. Where in the show, they make the arcade actually function. So I actually like that. I like them playing Mortal Kombat 2, which has kind of been a thing that's been thrown around a couple times. We've seen we saw a cabinet in episode, at the beginning of episode 3, I believe, where they stop at that Cumberland Farms and they find the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet, and she knows about Melina, and we kind of get that callback, and we see them playing the game, and we also find out that Riley has been living here. She's been living at the mall. And Ellie is kind of, you can see that Ellie, it's more than a friendship for Ellie. She has feelings for Riley. That's more than just being her best friend. It's something more, and you can see different like hints here and there where, they go to a Victoria's Secret, and Riley kind of has that like whole thing where she's like, "Oh, I'm just she kind of winces. She's like, "I'm just imagining you wearing." There's like lingerie in the window, and Ellie's kind of like, "Oh no," at first, but then Riley walks away, and she kind of stands there and stares at it for a little bit, like, what if? I mean, maybe that's just the interpretation. So yeah, you get these hints here and there, and just the way she looks at her throughout the entire episode, there's something there. So yeah, after the arcade, you find out that there is a stalker like fused to the wall inside the mall, and something is going to be heavily implied and involved with this stalker. And it's the makeup department, like the way that they ripped them right from the game. There's no deviation from it. They look so good, they sound good, and they're terrifying. They're absolutely terrifying. And to kind of see, even with that new implementation of the whatever they use the cordyceps in the different ways, it's just terrifying. And they do such a great job at giving, like, even the people who have played the games, we are still instilled with fear of what's going to come next and how is this all going to end. But even I think people who didn't play the game would also figure that out pretty quickly, that it's not going to end well, for at least for Riley, because Ellie makes it out. She's on this journey now with Joel. So what's going to happen next? So yeah, they're having a good time, and you kind of get like a fight between them because Riley tried to get, you find out Marlene is the one who recruits Riley. She tries to get Ellie to join too, but Marlene didn't want any part of that. So Ellie's just pissed off because she doesn't want her to leave. So yeah, we get kind of that emotional, she feels like she's alone again. So she leaves and then makes her way back to Riley after she kind of like thinks it over. Like, she does want to spend the rest of this night with Riley as much as she can before, whatever the decision is. And she actually goes back and tries to talk her out of it. And she pretty much is like, okay. So they have a good time. They dance, they sing, they wear fun masks. It's a good time. And that's when everything goes down, and the stalker attacks them, and they get into a scuffle. You know what is about to go down, and it still gets you though, because as soon as you find out that Ellie is bitten, she reacts because, of course, at this point she doesn't know she's immune. So she sees that she's bitten, and she's trying to rub it off. She's really scared. She's pissed, frustrated, scared, all those emotions. And you see also that Riley has been bitten in the hand, but she's the opposite of what Ellie is. So like Ellie is so aggressive, and she's so like she's just fired up. Like, how could this happen? And Riley is just kind of already accepted that this is the end of the line. So this was a little bit of a change, because I believe in the game it was a little bit different where why do I feel like Riley turned in the game? I don't remember. I really don't. I know that the ending of the DLC is a little bit different, because I know that Marlene, I believe, saves Ellie at the end of the DLC, and that's kind of how she gets with Marlene at the point that you see her earlier in the season, but also earlier in the game if you've played it. Yeah, and I think Riley ends up just getting attacked by another one, and it's kind of like a whole thing. It's a lot more dramatic in the game at the way that those two, like the end of the Ellie Riley story happens, where this one it was kind of like they kind of embrace, they kind of share their feelings for each other non-verbally. Of course, they have the kiss earlier before the attack, which kind of signifies they both have feelings for each other, and that they're more than friends. They love each other. And so it's more of an emotional drain when everything goes down, and they kind of accept that they're gonna lose their minds together, and it kind of fades out, and we go back to Ellie trying to save Joel. She finds some needle and thread, and she's gonna patch him up, and that's it. I mean, this episode, there's not a lot of intricate pieces to it. It's mostly just seeing Ellie in a different environment, seeing her before she finds out she's immune, before her encounters with Joel and Tess, even before her encounter with Marlene, before getting to be a part of all this. She's just a girl living in this world. She's the next one in line when it comes to like being a Fedra soldier and all that stuff. And we get to see her kind of see things for the first time, because of course she's been in the QZ her whole life. This is all she knows. And Riley kind of has a different interpretation of the world, because she had somewhat of a normal life beforehand. She had parents, unfortunately she watched them die, and things were just a little bit different for Riley. But also Riley wasn't going to be given a good hand from Fedra, so that was her ticket out of there. But it's also seeing how how one side sees things and how the other. So like, Ellie being on the Fedra side, she sees like, oh, yeah, they might be bad, but they're doing good things. Where Riley is like, no, they're just pieces of shit. They're fascist. They just want to do whatever they need to do to gain control. And Ellie, of course, has the view of the Fireflies being who they are, terrorists and horrible people, which you kind of get a glimpse with, like, who are the Fireflies? Are they really what Fedra says? It could be, especially when Ellie finds that Riley has been making bombs. So it's like, will we ever see the full picture? It's always kind of just word of mouth, and you don't really see a lot of the actions between both of them, both of those groups. But yeah, it's a powerful episode. It's an episode that I've been looking forward to, because like I said, the Left Behind DLC is fantastic. It definitely needs to be seen or played if you are interested in going back and playing this game. Um, it's yeah, it's just another great episode. Like I said, I understand that there are some episodes that people might have not liked based on certain things that have gone on, but to me and my personal opinion on this show is just phenomenal in every aspect of the word, with the performances and the cinematography, the writing. It's just, they're killing it. And I really hope that they can land the plane, especially knowing how the game ends. I really hope they can land the plane as well as the game did. And then, of course, just looking forward to season 2. But it's crazy to think we're only 2 episodes away from the end of season 1, and I'm very excited to see what next week's episode is going to be about. I know based on the preview for the episode, we're getting our boy Troy Baker, who is the voice of Joel in the game. So we get to see him, and we get to see some characters that in the game are their characters. They're scary. So it's going to be a fun ride to see how the rest of the show ends for this season. To see Pedro back out there doing his thing alongside Bella Ramsey, who is just, man, I hope all those people who were haters in the beginning saying Bella Ramsey just isn't it as Ellie, you're dead wrong. You were dead wrong, and I hope you accepted that. She is killing it as Ellie. I think everyone who is playing these roles that have already been portrayed, like, it's so hard to play a role that's already been portrayed by somebody else. It's also going to be fun to see possibly 2 Joels on screen together. So that'll be fun. But yeah, not too much to talk about with this one other than it's just it's fun to see these 2 characters kind of, we heard the name Riley before, and to see the story behind it and kind of how it all ends, and kind of see how Ellie's full story begins with her, you don't ever find out, like, they don't bring her in to check her wound and she's immune. No, you just know. We don't need that extra exposition that's just unnecessary. Like, we know she's immune. We know that this is the bite that leads to that knowledge. So I'm excited. I'm just excited for what's coming next. And I've been having a lot of fun doing these episode reviews with you all. I'm so thankful for everybody who downloads the episodes. For anyone who watches us here on YouTube, I know it's not the ideal place to do it, but I appreciate everyone who does it anyways. Yeah, we got a lot of things in the old think box for other content. I don't want to talk about too much. Just make sure this Friday, to check out episode 95 of our podcast. We're going to be talking about Alien vs. Predator Requiem, a movie that is not liked by many people, but I hope you enjoy the fun we had talking about it, because it's been really fun going through the entire Alien franchise. But yeah, thank you all for the support, and until next week, endure and survive.